Jenny and Jeremy, breaking the ice, breaking the ice, breaking the ice. Jenny and Jeremy, breaking the ice, breaking the ice.
So, 3 podcasts? Well, there's actually a most important thing that I'll tell you about in a second. 3 podcasts for me would be Story Brand by Donald Miller. I love the way that they produce that show and the additional tools and tips that they provide. Frank Reactions by Tema Frank. I like the diversity of her guests on her show and the different perspectives that you can get about the customer experience. And I also like Social Media Zoom Factor by Susan Moore. I think that her topics are really fascinating in the way that they actually bring a more depth and understanding to those topics that she's covering. I think it's fantastic. But most importantly, this is the big one. Most importantly, I think you need to listen to episode 57 of the Fast Leader Show starring Jeremy Walken. That's number 1 on your list. All those others can come a distant second. So definitely check out Jeremy on the Fast Leader Show.
I'm a huge fan of podcasts. I listen to them every single time I'm in the car. I have a lot of favorites, so picking 3 is a challenge. So I'm going to pick my top 2 that I listen to all the time, and then I'm going to pick a bunch. I'm just say them really fast, and that's going to count as my number 3. So my first favorite one is How I Built This with Guy Raz. It's an NPR podcast that talks about all of these big businesses and how they started. It talks to the owners, founders, all kinds of good stuff, and talks about their journeys. Second one is Relate by Zendesk. It covers a variety of stories and all sorts of different topics. It's fantastic and kind of heart-wrenching at some points. And now for number 3, I really love Serial. I love Invisibilia, Side Hustle School, Marie Forleo podcast, Food Stuffs. Oh my gosh, there's so many. I could go on and on.
It's not really fair to limit it to 3 podcasts. There's so many good ones out there. So I'm going to break it up into a couple genres. First, the brain candy, as my colleague Sherry calls it. These are podcasts like How I Built This and This American Life, both by NPR. And also Revisionist History by Malcolm Gladwell. Amazing podcasts. Now, if we're talking just straight customer service, I'm a fan of the Fast Leader Show, of course, by Jim Rembach. Amazing Business Radio by Shep Hyken, and Relate by Zendesk. All great podcasts. If you want to step up your customer service and customer experience game, check those ones out.
An essential responsibility for a contact center leader of today is to absolutely invest in yourself and take the time to understand and learn about the wide range of contact center technologies. Because look, we've been having to do more with less for a very long time, and that's not going to go away. And with more channels and more contacts and more contact complexity coming to the contact centers, we need to understand what technologies and how these technologies can really help us do even more with less. Customers are expecting it, your companies are expecting it, and you're going to serve yourself even better, and your people better, and your customers better by you knowing what to do with what tools. So, best of luck.
There's so many, metrics and systems and watching of call time and absenteeism and blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to it, humility is something that is incredibly important in a call center leader. And the reason for this is that you're leading a team and you want to be able to listen to them and you want to be able to help them help themselves as well as help customers. And it's hard to do that when you got a big ego on your shoulders. And that's just one key thing that I believe is a big responsibility for a leader to have.
Customer service in 2017, sure, the basic values are the same, but there's a lot that's changed in the last 3, 5, 10 years. And if I could give anybody advice, it's don't bury your head in the sand and think things that worked 10 years ago are going to continue to work. For example, technology is rapidly changing. younger generations are hitting the workplace and becoming adults. And if you look at, I looked at a benchmarking study recently that showed that social media messaging through mobile apps is becoming the customer service channel of choice. Whereas if you look at somebody who's 55 and older, they're still going to primarily want to call on the phone. So as those people get older and younger people enter the workforce, you're going to see a lot of shifting in customer preferences, and it's important to adapt to that and just keep an eye on the technology that's out there because it's changing all the time.